Hello, my friends. I've been asked this question a number of times. What is the role of the project manager in an agile environment? So today, I would like us to address that. What exactly does a project manager do? Should be the first question. Let's go to the whiteboard and see if we can come up with some ideas about the project manager in an agile environment. So in a traditional environment, the project manager is involved with a lot of the planning. In fact, you could say the project manager does majority of the planning work. But in the world of Agile, that is done by the team. So this is traditional or predictive. Please don't call this waterfall because that is incorrect. I hear a lot of people saying waterfall instead of traditional or predictive. Waterfall actually has iterations. Waterfall is a project life cycle in particular. So to blanket everything in predictive and call it waterfall is incorrect. All right, in the world of Agile, what happens is the team does planning, right? That's one of the biggest things that happens. Team planning, team effort, largely resting on the team in Agile, largely resting on the PM in traditional. When it comes to leadership in the world of traditional, you could say the project manager leads at the center. Leads at the center. In other words, the project manager is at the center of attention. But in the world of Agile, it's a decentralized structure, not a central structure. When it comes to responsibility and accountability in general, you could say heavily accountable project manager for a lot of the things. But in the world of Agile, it's team accountability. Okay. When it comes to all of those things that you hear, schedule, budget, resources, and so on and so forth, on a case-by-case basis in the world of Agile, we would lump that into a team responsibility. So I would say the schedule, scope, cost, quality, resources, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholder is all heavily on the PM in this world of traditional. But in the world of Agile, we would say the areas are owned by the team. Okay. So what do you see in my breakdown? What you're beginning to see is that it is not enough for you to say project manager doesn't have a place in Agile. Project manager does have a place in Agile. You know what the place is? Place is in the team. In other words, instead of this being the case in the world of, as it is in the world of traditional, this is the PM. These are all the stakeholders and the people. The PM is like a rock star, right? The center of attention. And this is traditional. But in the world of Agile, the PM is one of the serving individuals in the circle. You're no longer at the center, you're part of the circle. And this is what we call servant leadership. Instead of you being in the center, you are now a servant and asking, how can I help you? What can I do to make it a better day? You see, the role of the PM in Agile has to change from being I'm the dominant force who knows it all to you are the people who know collectively more than any one of us. So the question needs to be, How can I help you to do your job and get out of the way? How can I remove obstacles or blockers for you? How can I liaise on the side of the business? Now, this is what I've seen from my experience. In the world of Agile, when we're talking about a project manager, their role is business focused quite a bit. They report on things that we generally don't in Agile, where there may be a need for that level of understanding, where there's a need for things like statuses and budgets and higher level escalations. This is where you see the PM stepping in almost as a champion of whatever the cause is for the team. They help take away all of these distractions, statuses, budgets, higher level escalations, liaising with business at a level different from what the team normally does in Agile. You find the PM helping to do that. That does not remove, my friends, the role of, in some instances where Scrum is used, the Scrum Master still has stuff they're doing. But remember, the Scrum Master uses their network of influence to remove roadblocks and bottlenecks. So a lot of times a Scrum Master could be working with the project manager where the project manager exists in that world. You get what I'm saying? In that world, the Scrum Master could work with the project manager to help remove roadblocks, impediments, and things of that nature. Okay. So the role of the project manager in Agile goes from being at the center to being a servant. Okay. I'm going to read a few pages from the PMI's Agile Practice Guide. I think this is a good book to read what the differences are in the length of the PMI. So let's have a very quick read of this. So this is on page 37 of the Agile Practice Guide, and it reads in 4.2.2, the role of the project manager in an Agile project is somewhat of an unknown because many Agile frameworks and approaches do not address the role of the project manager. Some Agile practitioners think the role of a project manager is not needed due to self-organizing teams taking on the former responsibilities of the project manager. However, pragmatic Agile practitioners and organizations realize that project managers can add significant value in many situations. The key difference is that their roles and responsibilities look somewhat different. Turn the page over and it reads, Handbook 6 defines the project manager as the person assigned by the performing organization to lead the team that is responsible for achieving the project objectives. Many project managers are accustomed to being at the center of coordination for the project, tracking and representing the team status to the rest of the organization. This approach was fine when projects were decomposed into siloed functions. However, in high change projects, there's more complexity than one person can manage. Instead, cross-functional teams coordinate their own work and collaborate with the business representative, the product owner. When working on an Agile project, project managers shift from being the center to serving the team and the management. In an Agile project, project managers are servant leaders, changing their emphasis to coaching people who want help, fostering greater collaboration on the team, and aligning stakeholder needs. As a servant leader, project managers encourage the distribution of responsibility to the team, to those people who have the knowledge to get the work done. And this, my friends, is the same in the case of a structure we know all too well, the structure of the Project Management Office, the PMO. This is also talked about in Chapter 6 of the Agile Practice Guide. Before we conclude today, let's take a quick read of what exactly the PMO does in the world of Agile. There's usually overlapping concerns Some people who ask, what is the role of the project manager in Agile? What is the role of the Agile project management office? Or what is the role of the project management office? Well, let's read. It says on page 81, Agile and the PMO. The PMO exists to shepherd business value throughout the organization. So when you think about the PMO is here to shepherd how value gets into the hands of the end user. This could be done by helping projects to achieve their goals. Think about it. If there are no goals, you're likely to not see the value. The goals have to be achieved, and that gives value. Sometimes the PMO educates teams or arranges for training and supports projects. Sometimes the PMO advises management about the relative business value for a given project or set of projects. Because Agile creates cultural change over time, the organization may need to change, including the PMO. So the PMO may need to change, it may need to evolve. For example, managers make decisions about what projects to fund and when, and teams decide what they need for training or advice. When we think about the metamorphosis of the PMO, it becomes an APMO in an agile environment. In other words, an agile project management office. What do we mean by an agile project management office? Well, an agile-based PMO approach is based on customer collaboration. Remember, in the Agile Manifesto, it's customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So it's based on a customer collaboration mindset and is present in all PMO programs. In many cases, this means the PMO operates as if it were a consulting business, tailoring its efforts to meet specific needs requested by a given project. Some projects may need tools and templates, while others may benefit from executive coaching. PMO should strive to deliver what is needed and to keep the pulse on its customers to ensure that it knows and is able to adapt to their needs. This entrepreneur approach focuses on PMO activities that are perceived as the most valuable. So again, we've got to think about what is value to the organization. If it's not value to the organization, what's the point of a PMO? Now, it says an agile PMO, Agile Project Management Office, is driven by the concept of value, and it's also by invitation. What do we mean by this? Well, in order to accelerate progress on a value-based charter, a PMO may be tempted to mandate certain solutions or approaches to say, thou shalt do this or thou shalt do that, to make everyone do it the same way to get some quick wins. However, a more deliberate perspective incorporates the desire. There has to be a desire. When there's a desire, there's going to be an invitation, and then there's going to be back and forth value, because you're going to get feedback as to what you're doing right and wrong once people come aboard. This is achieved by inviting only those interested to engage with PMO services. Higher engagement with PMO practices makes it easier for those practices to become sticky, for those who practice the practices to actually find value from using them. If they don't find value from using them, then they're not going to be sticky, right? What makes these practices that we try to roll out stick in some firms and not in others is people just don't find value in it. One thing you want to cut out is the BW syndrome, busy work syndrome. So people just have a bunch of templates, but they're not getting any value from using those templates. The team isn't getting value. It's drudgery. Management isn't using it. But we don't want that, right? If the PMO is delivering value to its clients, it's more likely that the clients will request services and adopt its practices. And then the PMO will live. It will not be canceled by the C-level executives or the other folks in the firm, because they will see that it is truly adding value. Still on the concept of PMO, an agile PMO is multidisciplinary. What do we mean by that? We mean that there are various things that the PMO does. In order to support project-specific needs, the PMO needs to be conversant in several competencies. We talk about standards and developing those standards. We talk about developing training. If your PMO is not helping with training, not arranging training, not creating an ecosystem then that's not going to be very valuable in the long run to people. Also, when it comes to multi-project management, you could find a PMO helping guide those efforts. When it comes to organizational learning, understanding that, for example, one of the most neglected areas in business is leadership training. A lot of times we think about training software tools, training other things, but when it comes to training leadership, some people forget that. PMO needs to up the ante on that, right? Get your people trained, coached, and mentored in leadership, and then have a mentoring program where people can mentor each others. Those who've been in the firm who have more experience can mentor those who don't, things like that. When it comes to stakeholder engagement, that's another thing they could help with. When it comes to recruiting the right people to get on the bus, to get the people on the bus, right people, that's what PMOs can do. And when it comes to executing specialized tasks, special work, PMO could help with that. And these are just some of the ideas, my friends, that you need to have when it comes to project management and the project manager role in an agile environment. I hope you found this useful. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next video.